Since the 2019 electoral defeat of Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party and the Equality and Human Rights Commission's finding that Labour had become institutionally anti-Semitic, some of his most ardent supporters on the far left of British politics have sought any way they can to undermine that finding. An idea has developed that it was the Jewish community and its supposedly false and malicious allegations of anti-Semitism that fatally undermined the Labour Party's electoral ambitions. This idea has been heavily promoted via a social media campaign that uses the hashtag #ItWasAScam. This notion, this phrase, has trended on social media repeatedly over the past several years. Today, the Labour Party is unrecognisable from what it was at the time of the EHRC's findings. Not perfect, but unrecognisable. But whenever Labour has tried to address far-left anti-Semitism in its ranks, it has been confronted by anti-Semitism denial, by #ItWasAScam. One of the most insistent proponents of the hashtag is the writer and activist Simon McGee. McGee points to 10 incidents that he claims were false or exaggerated allegations of anti-Semitism in Labour that played an unjustifiably significant role in the party's anti-Semitism scandal. He claims that, to date, nobody has challenged his claims and therefore they must be valid. Thus, it was all a scam. So, we scrutinised McGee's claims and found them to be nonsense. Let's have a look at a few examples. Firstly, the Friends. In 2015, during the Labour leadership primary, Jeremy Corbyn was pressed on remarks that he made in 2009 in Parliament, in which he referred to Hamas and Hezbollah as our friends.
He said, "It will be my pleasure and my honour to host an event in Parliament where our friends from Hezbollah will be speaking. I've also invited friends from Hamas to come and speak as well."
Now, Simon McGee says this is a scam, as it is, and I quote, "grossly misleading because of context stripping." Well, apparently describing terror groups as our friends is just boilerplate diplomatic courtesy. Another quote. In other words, nothing to see here. But both Hamas and Hezbollah are anti-Semitic, Islamist, genocidal terrorist organisations sworn to the destruction of the Jewish state and have persistently targeted Jewish people in Israel and around the world, murdering them in their hundreds. You can still watch Corbyn's remarks in full. There is nothing misleading about pointing out how he described Hamas and Hezbollah. The notion that this was neutral diplomatic language he did not extend to the Israelis incidentally, is laughable. Corbyn praised these murderous, racist terror groups as being dedicated towards bringing about peace and social justice. Worse still, at the time that Corbyn made his remarks, the British government, then a Labour government, had only proscribed what it considered to be the military wings of Hamas and Hezbollah, and not their so-called political wings. Corbyn's criticism was apparently, therefore, of the British government's opposition toward the expressly violent elements of these organisations. He therefore clearly sounded sympathetic both to the aims of these organisations and also to their methods. When pressed on these comments in 2016, Corbyn said,
"People I talk to, I use it in a collective way, saying our friends we're prepared to talk to. Does it mean I agree with Hamas and what it does? No. Does it mean I agree with Hezbollah and what they do? No."
Our verdict? There is no scam here. The wreath. In 2018, the Daily Mail published photographs taken from the Facebook page of the Palestinian Authorities diplomatic in Tunisia, which showed Jeremy Corbyn laying a wreath at the Haman Chott Cemetery in Tunis in 2014. The article alleged that one of the pictures showed Corbyn with a memorial wreath in his hand standing feet from the graves of terror leaders linked to the Munich massacre, the terror attack on the Israeli Olympic team at the Munich Olympics in 1972. Simon McGee says this is a scam because the wreath was laid at a memorial to the 1985 bombing of the terrorist PLO headquarters. whereas the Munich terrorists are buried in another country, Libya. But in reality, the monument to the bombing McGinn refers to is in a different part of the cemetery complex to where Corbyn was standing. Instead, Corbyn was standing at the graves of the members of Black September and their associates, the terror group that carried out the Munich massacre. In an article for the Morning Star newspaper a few days after his visit to the cemetery, Corbyn effectively admitted this. McGinn is right that Corbyn was not present at the graves of the Munich terrorists, but that was not the Daily Mail's claim. The newspaper reported that he was at a commemoration for the terror leaders linked to the Munich massacre, which he apparently was. So, who is scamming who here? Thirdly, the mural. Simon McGinn says it is a scam to claim that, in 2012, Jeremy Corbyn approved of an anti-Semitic mural which shows big-nosed Jewish bankers exploiting the masses, because they're not really Jewish bankers, as only 2 of the bankers are big-nosed Jews, and because Corbyn never approved of it, but simply asked why it had been removed. Well, first of all, McGinn only shows part of the mural in his commentary. Here is the mural in full. It's hard to count the sheer number of conspiratorial motifs in the mural, many of which are bound up with anti-capitalist and anti-establishment anti-Semitism on both the far left and the far right. The players represent actual figures, 2 of whom are Jewish. The 2 Jewish figures, Lord Rothschild and Paul Warburg, have exaggerated noses, a classic anti-Semitic motif. The other figures have alternative exaggerated features. At the time the mural was displayed, it provoked negative reactions. The mayor of Tower Hamlets said, "The images of the bankers perpetuate anti-Semitic propaganda about conspiratorial Jewish domination of financial and political institutions." The artist defended the mural, saying, "My mural is about class and privilege," and denying that he is anti-Semitic. But he reportedly went on to say that some of the older white Jewish folk in the local community had an issue with me portraying their beloved #Rothschild or #Warburg, etc. as the demons they are. The artist posted on Facebook that there were calls to remove the mural. Jeremy Corbyn commented on the post, "Why? You are in good company. Rockefeller destroyed Diego Vieira's mural because it includes a picture of Lenin." In 2018, the mural controversy and Corbyn's comment resurfaced. Corbyn's office said that he was concerned about freedom of speech in public art at the time he made his comment, but added that the mural was offensive and used anti-Semitic imagery and it was right to remove it. The statement was a non sequitur. Did Corbyn accept at the time that the mural was anti-Semitic but believed it should remain on the grounds of freedom of speech? Or did he not accept that it was anti-Semitic at the time, but now, as leader, recognise that it was politically expedient to admit that it was? Alternatively, perhaps Corbyn never noticed that it was anti-Semitic because he struggles to recognise what far-left anti-Semitism looks like. As for McGinn, he claims Corbyn could not have been expected to have seen the mural properly, but when it was later explained to him, Corbyn agreed that it was right to remove the mural because it was anti-Semitic. Yet McGinn still claims, contrary to Jeremy Corbyn himself, that the mural was not in fact anti-Semitic. In other words, even incidents that Jeremy Corbyn is prepared to accept are anti-Semitic, along with everyone else, Simon McGinn is not. Our verdict? Not a scam. The same is true for one after another of McGinn's claims. And you can read our full analysis on our website at antisemitism.org. So, was it a scam? Were allegations of anti-Semitism in Labour a fraud? Were they used in an effort to smear Jeremy Corbyn, his supporters and the party? No. They were the lived experience of Jewish Labour members who were harassed, discriminated against, and accused of underhand behaviour for raising complaints of anti-Semitic abuse. The EHRC agreed. Our verdict: hashtag it was a scam is a scam.